You're listening to the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Wyatt. Did you know there's two different ways to spell ducks? The traditional way and DUX, all caps. What I mean is the Ducks Unlimited event coming up in Memphis early August. We're going to learn about it today with Logan Nevins from Ducks Unlimited.
Mississippi Outdoors is sponsored by Entergy Mississippi. Entergy is building a stronger and cleaner grid to power a brighter future and protect our great outdoors for generations to come.
You're listening to the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Wyatt. Today, Logan Nevins from Ducks Unlimited here on the show. Logan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming down from Memphis.
That's right.
How was the drive today?
It was a little rainy, but not too bad.
We've had plenty of that here lately for sure. But excitement because you guys at Ducks Unlimited have a big event on the horizon just right around the corner, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's coming up quick. We're 45-ish days away here, 1st of August 1st through 3rd. So we're really excited about it.
All right, really quickly off the top, tell me about it, because when I was looking at the notes, there was this acronym. I thought it was an acronym, DUX. I went, wait a minute, that says Ducks at the Ducks event.
Yeah, so DUX is what we call it. It's the Ducks Unlimited Expo, but DUX is kind of the tag there. It's a really waterfowl heavy expo, but there's everything for the outdoor enthusiast there, from deer hunting to turkeys to everything in between. But it's a big trade show that we're putting on there in Memphis, and open to the public to come and buy product, see product, talk to the best experts from all the big companies in the industry. So
where in Memphis?
It's going to be at the Renasant Convention Center downtown.
Oh, yeah.
So it's right around the corner from the Bass Pro Pyramid. So if you drive by that, going on 40 there, it's right across from that.
And see, I'm testing you here, Logan. What are the dates? You know the exact dates, top of your head?
That's right. August 1st through 3rd. They've been burning into my head for about the last 18 months we've been planning this thing. So
does it cost? Like if I want to go, do I have to buy a ticket, pay to get in?
It does, but it's a very family-friendly event. So it's $15 for an adult, anybody 13 and over per day, and then kids 12 and under are free. So very affordable for the whole family to come out. Great.
So Ducks Unlimited, being a part of it, like what is the relationship to this event, and then why? Why is it happening?
Yeah, it's directly related with us. It's our event. Ducks Unlimited's hosting it and putting it on with our staff and volunteer leadership, putting it together. And the reason why is we wanted to hold a show where we can bring all of our industry partners and other companies that we work closely with, or just that are real well known in the industry, and even your small mom and pops, put a show together for everybody to come and get the latest products and get ready for hunting season. So that 1st of August time frame is we're like a month away from dove opener.
Yeah.
Football hasn't really kicked off yet, so it's kind of like that end of summer. Let's get ready for hunting season and get everything together. So that's the big reason why we wanted to put one together.
I think it really is a great time. Like it's a perfect sweet spot there to have it.
Absolutely.
Like you say, just before about a month before dove season opens, and everybody's kind of itching and man, hurry up, get here. Almost like waiting for football, waiting for hunting the season kind of roll around.
Absolutely.
And early August, I'm told that's a quote unquote dog days of summer.
Definitely.
So going inside the convention center and cool off. They got an air conditioner that works in there.
That's the big thing. Everybody goes, man, it's going to be hot in August in Memphis, but it won't be in the convention center. So, if you're sitting at home looking for something to do and it's just too hot to get out there, come downtown and go to the convention center for the expo and have a lot of fun and get ready for the hunting season.
Yeah. What led you to Ducks Unlimited? Like, what's your story? How'd you end up there?
Yeah, so I've been with Ducks Unlimited now 9 years, and I originally moved to Memphis from Michigan to work for Ducks Unlimited in the youth and education division, youth and engagement now, and moved down here for that. And then after about 2 years, moved into the role that I'm in now, working on the expo and different national event stuff. So yep.
From Michigan.
That's right. Long ways away.
So what was growing up in Michigan like?
It's a great place to grow up. There's a lot of opportunity for hunting. There's tons of opportunity for fishing. There's lakes everywhere. So I grew up doing that with my dad and my grandfather, great grandfather, all that stuff, catching bluegill and all that. So it's a great place to grow up, to get introduced to the outdoors. And that's where I fell in love with it and wanted to be in the business in some way, shape, or form.
That's neat. Okay, so admittedly, like most of my life, kind of a fishing guy, and so Kevin Van Dam, maybe the greatest bass fisherman ever.
Absolutely.
And he's from Michigan, and
He is.
So I'm very familiar with that. And I would say that someone like me, you think, oh yeah, Michigan fishing, but you don't necessarily top of your head think Michigan and hunting,
right?
You just. It's not always associated together, but duck hunting. I mean, were you involved in that in Michigan?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's a lot of public land hunting.
Okay.
So that's a really popular thing. There's private land as well. It doesn't work nearly the same as it does down here in the South, where there's not as many waterfowl leases and things like that. There's a lot more like deer camps. Deer hunting is a lot more popular up there. But waterfowl is picking up. But yeah, you mentioned the bass fishing and Kevin Van Dam. That was growing up in kind of his heyday there in Michigan. I was kind of bitten by the bug of wanting to be the next KVD for a while. So yeah. I still bass fish quite a bit, but not as much as I used to nowadays. But
yeah,
yep.
That's neat, because I will say it wasn't just kids in Memphis. I mean, in Michigan who got bit by the KVD bug and wanted to be the next. It was kids in Mississippi and Alabama too. Yep. He's a superstar.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, well, and really still is.
Still is. Yeah, he may be retired now, but he can still go out there and go blow to blow with about anybody out there. So,
yeah, sure. So back to you and Ducks Unlimited. You kind of gave us the overview, but when for you was it little kid? Was it teenager when the spark hit and you thought, wait a minute, you can do this kind of thing for a living. I'm going to go that route. When did that happen? When did the light bulb come on for you?
Yeah, it was more in the high school when I was kind of looking to figure out what I wanted to do, go into college and things. And I originally wanted to go into the conservation side and be a biologist or work, on the ground doing the habitat work. So went to school for conservation biology and environmental science, things like that. And then while I was in school, started volunteering real heavy with Ducks Unlimited from the event side, and kind of fell in love with that. And then that's where I kind of shifted to now when I got out of school, working on the event side of things. And having a conservation background still helps. But the event side was kind of what I fell in love with at that point, and realized I could still be a part of it with either DU or others, and was fortunate enough to land at DU.
Yeah. And it started out as volunteering.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think I've quoted it some on the show before, but that phrase, that saying, success follows passion. Mm-hmm. Generally it does. And so here you are, a kid in Michigan. I keep wanting to say Memphis. You're in Memphis now.
I'm in Memphis now, yeah.
But you're coming up in Michigan. You're passionate about the outdoors, enough so that you're like, yeah, I'll volunteer. Mm-hmm. Volunteer being you're going to go work but not get paid for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that has sort of led you on this path. It's a pretty
definitely.
Cool story.
And it's real cool too, because Ducks Unlimited overall is a volunteer run organization. I mean, we've got 30-some thousand across the country. Our president, our board of directors, like it's all volunteer driven. We do have staff that work with those volunteers, but the biggest thing is, from the volunteer standpoint, you just got to ask people, like if they are passionate enough about it, like you mentioned, just ask them to be involved, and people will get involved for the right causes. So it's a really cool organization to be a part of and work for.
30-something thousand volunteers nationwide. I think most people listening probably didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's a lot, and we put on 4,000 plus events a year across the country. Yeah, it's a vast organization across, and then all that money that we raise goes to conservation. Putting money into mud and making an impact. So.
Now there's a great saying. I don't know if you get credit for that, putting money into mud.
No, that's not mine. I'm not going to take credit for that one, but that's one of the things that we're passionate about.
Well, and I was going to say, that's probably the next question in our conversation is maybe from a Ducks Unlimited standpoint, a why. Okay, all these events, obviously, people passionate about hunting, but what's the point? What's the purpose? Well, you just sort of touched on it.
Yeah.
But I will ask it. Somebody comes up to you and says, Ducks Unlimited, like, why do they exist? What are they doing? What's the purpose? How do you answer that?
Yeah. So it's kind of a twofold question. So, Ducks Unlimited as a whole is a wetland conservation organization, but and waterfowl conservation, putting more birds in the air and for people to enjoy hunting and stuff like that. But wetland conservation does so much more than just the putting birds in the sky, right? Like it's clean water, it's storm water management, flood control, all those types of things that impact everybody. So, it's a very broad approach. It's a continental approach that we take from our biologist side. So it's not just we want to do a bunch of work in the places that have the best hunting, because that's not going to, help the populations long term and help, the people and everything. So that's kind of how I explain it to people, is it's a continental approach that helps not only the dozens and dozens of animal species, but it helps humans out a lot too.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about our state, Mississippi, in terms of its relationship with Ducks Unlimited? Maybe pecking order is not the right word. It's not like states are competing from that standpoint.
Right.
But where does Mississippi stand in terms of states that are, duck hunting states, and in terms of working with Ducks Unlimited? Where do we fall?
Yeah, I would say that all of the work that we do, and I mentioned the continental approach, we let that tell us where the money goes and where the work needs to be done. So with Mississippi landing in, the Mississippi Flyway, it's a very important part of that life cycle for waterfowl, for a wintering habitat and things like that. So it does rank up there, higher on the spectrum from that standpoint, because, we're working to make sure that all the birds, when they get down here in the later part of the year, they can refuel and get ready to head back up in the springtime to breed and have more little ducks for the next year. So it is definitely important, Mississippi, within that cycle for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's not that many ducks flying into New Mexico or anything. At least I don't think there are.
Yeah, you'd be surprised though. There's places in the country that I haven't experienced, but I've heard a lot from our staff and volunteers that you would never think would be very good duck hunting, but it could be some of the best you've ever seen, and it's just a hidden little gem.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot out there for people to experience for sure.
As you were talking too, I was thinking about the cold weather aspect too of the duck season. And, guy from Michigan, you're in Memphis and you hear us, in the Memphis area in Mississippi talking about how cold it is, and you're probably like rolling your eyes. Now, guys, this isn't really that cold.
Yeah.
Compared to some of your experiences coming up.
Yeah, some of the quote unquote snow days and stuff that we get. The ice storms are pretty rough down here. I will give it that. But that stuff is kind of funny. But at the same time, being a northern guy originally, the heat and stuff that we get down here is just, my wife and I were not built for it. We're not fans of the heat, so I can kind of sympathize when it gets too cold and I'm still running around in shorts and stuff.
So, right. Is she from Michigan also?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Originally, she's from Phoenix, but she went to school in Michigan and stuff, so she kind of claims that as home now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the heat and humidity here is a little bit of a different deal, and the mosquitoes this time of year.
Yes, it's brutal. They'll pick you up and take you away for sure.
Yeah, they certainly will. What's the most interesting? Maybe that's the right word. The most interesting duck hunting experience you've had individually?
Oh gosh, probably. The first one that comes to my head was hunting an early teal season in Louisiana while a tropical storm was coming ashore. That was a very unique experience. We did not shoot any birds that day. As we were getting out of the blind and starting to head back, a lightning bolt struck a phone tower that was probably half a mile away. That was right there that we could see in the marsh. So we got out of there pretty quickly, but I can at least say that I've duck hunted in a tropical storm. So that was an interesting hunt for sure.
I bet.
Yep.
I bet the whole getting out, as you said, got out of there. I bet that was an intense experience too. Like put it in high gear getting out of there.
Yeah, it was. The boat driver watched that lightning bolt hit that tower and turned and looked at us, and the only thing he did was just turn that throttle up even more. And that boat was moving with a couple people in it just to get out of there, or at least it felt like it did. So that was unique for sure.
Well, and if you hunt fish, if you're out there over a period of time, something's going to happen.
Oh,
You're going to run into weather, and
you're going to use your gun as a boat paddle, or have to pick it up out of the mud, or there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens when you're waterfowl hunting for sure.
Okay, so that question was interesting. I used the word interesting. What's the best duck hunting experience?
There's two that come to mind. So there's one, there was a 3-man limit mallard hunt in Arkansas that was just spectacular, to where it was 1 or 2 drakes coming in at a time, and we just would kind of pick them off, and you couldn't have asked for anything better. Sunshine, it was amazing. But the other one, being in Michigan, we do a lot of diver hunting up there. Okay. So we were hunting in the big water of Lake Huron with the Mackinac Bridge that connects the two peninsulas, and Mackinac Island, which is kind of a well-known tourist area up there, in the background while we're hunting an 80 foot of water, shooting a 6-man limit. It was a really, really fun experience that I may never do again, but I did that when I was in college. It was really cool.
Over 80 feet of water.
Yeah, we were in layout boats with a tender and stuff. When you'd shoot them, they'd go and scoop them up with a net and all that stuff. So
wow,
kind of like that stuff you see on the East Coast, but we were doing it with the Mackinac Bridge in the background and everything. It was pretty cool.
Never been there myself. Can only imagine those Great Lakes and the size. Where you could see the bridge. Could you see land? Were you in that?
Yeah, you could see. It was off in the distance a little bit. We were in between a couple little islands. But I mean, the swells and stuff were getting so big, you'd have to time everything as the birds were coming in because of the waves and stuff. And it was a little bit scary if you weren't, familiar with it for the first time. It was kind of unique, but it was definitely a really, really memorable hunt for sure.
Sounds like it.
Yep. If you ever get a chance to do it, go do it. Whether it's there or anywhere else, diver hunting with those, layout boats and stuff, it's a riot.
You said just then, it was one of those scary experiences at first if you hadn't done it before, but not to cross the threshold of talking about doing things that are dangerous, but that's one of the things about the outdoors is that you expose yourself to some things that initially can make your hair stand up on the back of your neck, but that's kind of what makes it fun and cool, isn't it? It's being involved in the outdoors and in nature and in wildlife and ultimately in conservation. It's wild.
Yeah.
That's what's great about it.
Yeah. And it's, really exciting experiences. I mentioned being in 80 foot of water. That's probably the scary part, right? Down here hunting, if it's more than 12 or 16 inches, that's a lot of water to be in to hunt with. But up there, it was normal to hunt in deeper water and just staying in the boat and running lines off the boat bow and stuff like that. So there's always those things that when you get involved with hunting, whether you're running through a timber hole in the middle of darkness and with a spotlight and you're worried about hitting a tree, right? There's all kinds of stuff that may happen, but that's part of the excitement and why everybody loves it so much.
Sure. Duck hunters in general, those that are passionate about it, that's kind of who we've talked about, those that volunteer, those kinds of things. Do you find that they are unique, sort of, maybe that's not the best way to word the question, but they are unique almost as a community in terms of their love for their niche and their sport?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the volunteers that we have as an organization, are second to none. I mean, their dedication to what we do as a cause, they'll travel across the country to come help in an event. We have volunteers from all over the country that are helping at DUX that are part of the committee to put the event on. So, and it's not just our event, it's every little event that takes place to the big ones across the country. So, and there's volunteers that are very passionate about the policy side, and they go to DC and help talk to lawmakers about why it's important to do the work that we're doing and working with state agencies and all those different types of things. So they're, when you look at outdoorsmen as a whole and how passionate everybody is about the hunting side or the reward at the end of the day when you get done, and whether you filled your limit or not, the volunteers in our organization have that same passion and excitement, from putting on an event for 150 people in a local VFW hall on a Thursday night. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see that across the country, of that common, excitement and drive that they have for a cause.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep.
Well, there'll be more than 150 that'll come through the convention center in Memphis.
That's right. That's right. There definitely will be.
Yeah, so first 3 days of August, did I get that right?
Yep.
And at the Renasant Convention Center in Memphis, nice cool air will be blowing through there. So even if you're in the vicinity, pop in.
Yeah.
13 and up, $15 to get in. Under 13, get in free.
That's right. And the other really awesome thing, so we have a bunch of sponsors, like our presenting sponsors, Purina Pro Plan. So they're great partners with ours and DU as a whole, but also have supported DUX for years. But a lot of our sponsors are doing some really, really interesting stuff and cool stuff for this event. So Polaris, being one of those, donated a XP 1000 Waterfowl Edition Polaris.
Okay.
So that is going to be the door prize for anybody that attends. So if you're an adult over 18 and you buy your ticket to come any of the days or all the days, you can fill out a ticket at the door and be entered in for that draw prize. We'll have a big spinning wheel that you can put your tickets in, right, and all that cool stuff. So it's a pretty good package. There's a Colpin accessory pack that they put with it. I mean, it's almost $30,000 Waterfowl Edition loaded out rig that you can win just for coming for the $15 ticket. So it's really, really cool.
And I'm not a gambler, but I'm just sitting here doing the odds in my head. That might even be a better odds than pulling that lever at the casino.
That's right.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool now.
Yeah. It's a really, really cool thing. Polaris has been a good sponsor of ours for a long time. They've helped us with a similar prize like this in the past, and they wanted to continue it. And it's a really cool opportunity to come and win a Polaris for a $15 ticket.
Absolutely. Food.
Yep, there'll be some food there. We'll have some food courts and different things throughout the expo, so you can come and get a meal and everything like that while you're checking out all the stuff. Yeah. So
that probably went without saying. Memphis,
right?
There'll be food there.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of a staple. Like when it comes to DU events, everybody looks for food, fun. They want to have a couple drinks, so you can come there and do that as well. But it'll be a good time.
Good deal. We're really looking forward to it. Thanks for telling us about it.
Yeah.
And some of your story too. Thanks for letting us delve into that also.
Yeah,
Logan, good
absolutely.
to meet you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. He is Logan Nevins from Ducks Unlimited. Big event coming up early August in Memphis. We'll see you there, and we'll see you outdoors.